Well, all right. What I'm going to do is read just the preamble to this and see if the good father finds identification with this. It says, "Do not worry, dear child. It is I, the Mother of God, speaking to you and asking you to proclaim in my name the following message to the whole world. In doing so, you will meet strong opposition. Be firm in your faith, however, and you will triumph over all opposition. Listen and remember well what I am about to tell you. Men must become converted. They must implore pardon for the sins that they have committed, and for those they will commit again in the future. You have requested a sign by which all men would understand my utterances given to humanity through you. This miracle you have seen at this very moment. It was the great miracle of the sun. All have seen it, believers and unbelievers, peasants, townsmen, scholars and journalists, laymen and priests. And now proclaim in my name." And what follows is the secret. Does that, Father, sound familiar?
There is no preamble.
Well, I'm not sure preamble was the right...
Yeah, or there is no introductory statement in the actual secret, the actual text of the secret itself.
So you don't recognize what I just read?
Not as a part of that one sheet of paper. The text is very dry and specific.
There's 25 lines of text on a single sheet of paper, and we have the testimony of none other than Cardinal Sodano telling us that. Now, on December the 8th, 1941, she writes her fourth memoir, in which she says the same thing she said in the third memoir, but she adds for the first time the word, "But in Portugal, the dogma of the faith will always be preserved." And then later on, talking about the secret, she said, "Well, in a way, I've already revealed it." That phrase is the gateway to the third secret. And in a way, what's implicit in it is that if Portugal is going to keep the faith, other parts of the world will not keep the faith. And that's what Cardinal Chappie is saying. The third secret, it is foretold, among other things, the great apostasy in the church will begin at the top. Obviously, if they apostatize, they're losing the faith. So the loss of faith coming from the top within the Catholic Church is what Our Lady was warning about. And that's why, and that's not the only thing, they're talking about, and part of that loss of the faith is coming through the change in the Mass, change in also the Council.
How come this secret hasn't gotten out? You know, you tell one person, he tells one person, he tells one person, all of a sudden everybody knows it. How come in this case it's been pretty quiet?
Well, they've given them, everyone who's ever had this secret given to them, the full secret, has been put under an oath, a very serious oath. But even some of those people, they have spoken about it, and I can tell you, unfortunately, I wish that these people who have heard the secret, they're so afraid to say it. But I do know priests who have heard this from the lips of someone who does know it, and this person who's read it has told a priest I know, and that priest I know has talked to friends of mine.
Is it frightening, Father?
Well, it's talking about, among other things, the Second Vatican Council, that the Council would make major mistakes, and that as a result of that, a lot of people would be misled. And it talks about the dangers then of people taking the wrong path and losing their way, ultimately going to hell if they don't correct themselves. That's what it is in a nutshell, and people find it hard to say, well, the Blessed Virgin wouldn't say such a thing. It's precisely because she's our mother that she wants us to get to heaven, and when she sees that we're being misled, and our Lord says, woe to the world because of scandals, but scandals will come. But the scandals, the people who are scandalized, are still at fault for their being scandalized. So she wants to correct people's consciences, that is, to set them right, because some leaders have put them on the wrong path. And so she's trying to correct it, but the people who have the secret are the ones, it's an indictment of their policies for the last 45 years. In 1957, on December 26th, this is what Father Fuentes writes.
51 years ago.
I wish only to tell you about the last conversation we had with Sister Lucia on the 26th December. I met her in a convent. She was very sad, very pale and emaciated. She said to me, Father, the Most Holy Virgin is sad because no one has paid attention to her message, neither the good nor the bad. The good continue on their way without giving any importance to her message. The bad, not seeing the punishment of God actually fall upon them, continue their life of sin without even caring about the message. But believe me, Father, God will chastise the world. This will be in a terrible manner. The punishment from heaven is imminent. So people might say to me, that's just the beginning of it. But what has happened since 57? Well, we've had several wars and things. I'm not to make light of those. But the real chastisement has been the spiritual chastisement, which has been the falling away of more than 50,000 priests, and then the priests, a number of them who are staying in, as Pope John Paul II said, the message of Fatima, again it's in the secret, is a divine warning to our age to not fall prey to the tail of the dragon that drags down a third of the stars of heaven. Now that's prophetic language of chapter 12, verse 4 of the Apocalypse. But the stars of heaven, every interpreter will certainly say that, and certainly it's a standard interpretation of that passage, the stars of heaven refer to, why the stars? The stars are what the sailors would see their way home by following the stars. They look in the stars at night and guide their way home by the stars. The stars of heaven are the stars that show you your way to go to heaven, to go to your celestial homeland. The stars of heaven are the Catholic priests. The lips of the priests are to guard wisdom. One-third of the stars of heaven have been taken down by the devil, working for the devil. And that's what's in the secret. And this is what John Paul II was saying. He was saying it without, certainly to me, he was saying it, meaning that I can understand what he was getting at, and anyone can follow it. And this is in our book, The Devil's Final Battle, explains it quite a lot. And they can certainly get that by calling us or going to our website. They can read the book online, just The Devil's Final Battle online. If they don't want to pay for it, that's fine. And
do you believe Father Malachi Martin knew the third secret?
I believe he did, because I've listened to, I bought a tape from you from the Coast to Coast from Art Bell years ago, and I listened to it over and over and over again. And he was trying as hard as he could to tell the secret. And he spent about 15 minutes, 5 minutes on what is schism, another 5 minutes on what is heresy, another 5 or 10 minutes on what is apostasy. And, of course, the third secret is about apostasy. And he was saying, what is the third secret? He also said about the primary and the secondary ends of marriage. The third secret most likely talks about contraception, that it's a mortal sin that's sending all sorts of souls to hell. And if people are not listening to that, that brings about the lack of grace and brings about the priests not being faithful to grace because they're not being prayed for enough. And the result of that is a downward spiral for everyone going to hell unless they wake up.
For some reason, Father Gruner, I think people want this third message, this third secret, to be dramatic. They want it to say planet Earth will get hit by an asteroid or some calamity will occur or something of a major consequence. I think they would rather have that for some reason other than saying something like Christianity may go awry or something like that. Do you believe that too?
Well, I think it says both things, actually. I don't have the specifics, but I think it's because many in the church have gone into apostasy or leading us to apostasy. As a result of that, the spiritual effect has consequences in the physical world. But in fact, Pius XII said in 51 that the world today, that's 1951, is worse today than before the flood. So we're talking about, and I mentioned the message of Our Lady at Akita, which Cardinal Ratzinger, now the Pope, says is equivalent to the message of Fatima. In there it says that the punishment will be worse than the flood.
What would you recommend people do if they want to try to get this third secret released?
Well,
is there anything?
Well, several things. First of all, the first thing, of course, is to pray, because ultimately this is beyond Our Lady says, in the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. So it's going to be her victory. So we should ask her help by praying the Rosary. So it's logical we should pray, and that's the first thing. But not only pray, we have all the saints have said, but Saint Benedict's ora et labora, pray and work. So what kind of work should we do? Well, we should be informed. So we should inform ourselves about this. Our magazines, if they just want to read about it and don't want to pay anything for books, that's fine with me. They can first of all read them online, read the Devil's Final Battle or the Secret Still Hidden online. They can read our magazine. We send it to them for free. Issues on the third secret. So one is to be informed. the second is to tell others. One of the things, for example, if you think about it for a moment, Our Lady appeared to the 3 children. They decided to keep it quiet. Jacinta told her mother that in June there were 50 people. In July there were 5,000. In August there were 15,000. In September there were 30,000. In October there were 70,000. Now where did these people come from? It was all by word of mouth. It wasn't by radio. It wasn't. The newspapers were against them. The government was against them, and the clergy were afraid. So it was people telling their friends and neighbors by word of mouth, and that's what the word spread. So they can tell their friends and neighbors about the Message of Fatima. Tell them to, if they all send a message to Benedict. He has a website. If write to my email, info@fatima.org, we'll send them. But I don't have it in my fingertips. But the Pope's email address is. They can email him. Just say, Your Holiness, with all respect, please release the secret.